Hey guys, thanks for joining me. It's Grant with AnglingAuthority.com. Today I'm going to show you something a little bit different. And yes, I'm going to show you how to make a mount for the Hydrowave and how to install it. But I'm going to show you something a little bit more custom than what you guys are used to seeing. I did a lot of research on the Hydrowave and how to mount it. And I haven't seen this on YouTube yet, so I thought I'd share it with you. And I'm going to show you guys how to make a custom mount for the Hydrowave unit to bring the head unit a little bit closer to you when you're up in the bow. There's some pros and some cons to making this custom mount unit, so I'll just go through them really quick with you. You can read them in the article as well that's going to accompany this video. Some of the pros to making the Hydrowave unit mount that I'm going to show you are, number one, it brings the unit closer to you. So when you're in a big water situation, Lake St. Clair, Lake Erie, even Lake Simcoe, and you got a lot of rolling waves, the boat's rolling and pitching, you don't want to be putting your head down, putting your head back up, because you could easily get disorientated. You could not see a big wave that's coming towards you, and you get knocked off the boat. So this mount is going to be a little bit safer. Also, if you're an angler, it's got a little bit older angler, maybe you have back problems. On a long day of fishing, you don't want to be bending over so far down to the deck. So this mount is actually going to save your back a little bit because you don't have to bend as far. This custom mount is also going to help with theft prevention. This mount is going to this head unit is going to mount onto your bow graph. So when you're out on a road trip, going to a tournament or whatever, you guys stop off at a motel, you can actually remove the Hydrowave head unit along with your bow graph. So it'll be a little bit more of a preventative measure. There's a lot of other things you can do, locker bar. There's a lot of alarm system, but mounting the Hydrowave with your bow graph will allow you to be able to remove the head unit. So it's just one less thing that a thief would see that would entice him or her to go through your boat. So those are some pros to mounting the Hydrowave unit like I'm going to show you. Some of the cons to mounting the Hydrowave onto the bow unit are, number one, that the Hydrowave itself, if you've got a bow graph on the bow and you're in waves and your bow is crashing down in big waves, you're adding more weight onto the ram mount, and your ram mount has to support that. And some of the ways of getting past this are, number one, you can crank the ram mount down harder. Number two, some things I've seen that the Bassmaster elites do is they actually take the bow unit and they loosen it and they put it down onto the carpet and then torque it down again, so that when the bow is hitting, you've really got the ram mount's not doing any work. It's already pushed down onto the carpet. So those are some ways of getting past the cons. Another con to having the Hydrowave head unit mounted onto the bow graph is that if you're a big water guy or you're going to you normally use the Hydrowave and the bow graph, and then all of a sudden you're going to go into a small lake where you're going to do some skinny water, some really shallow largemouth, you're probably not going to use the bow unit, the bow graph at all. And having the Hydrowave stuck on there means that you'll have to set up the bow graph anyway if you want to use the Hydrowave. So you'll have to decide what you want to do and whether or not the pros to making this mount are going to outweigh the cons that you may have. Next thing I'm going to show you is the tools that I used and the materials that I used to do this project. First things first, I used 16 gauge steel, and what I did was I went down to the Lowe's and I picked up, this is an 8-inch by 16-inch piece of steel that I purchased. This is just regular steel, 16 gauge. For some of you guys who have access to stainless steel, I definitely recommend stainless steel for the mount. I don't have access to like a shop or any kind of like plasma cutter or anything like that, so I just had to do deal with what I had available just in my house and that kind of thing. So Definitely, if you can get stainless steel, use stainless steel. But for me, I went down, picked up a 16 gauge piece of steel, and that did me fine. The only thing with this, guys, if you do go with steel, make sure that you paint it. Do not leave bare steel on your boat. It will rust and it will look really bad in a week. So yeah, definitely if you go with steel, you'll have to paint it. And speaking of that, the next thing I picked up was some Tremclad primer. I also picked up rust paint. I went with matte black just because it's going to look better with my setup. You know, you can pick up whatever color you want. You know, if you got a red boat, knock yourself out, make a red mount. Next thing you'll need is a couple of power tools. So the first thing that I'm going to use is a jigsaw. Just a jigsaw. I like a jigsaw because I can cut a pattern out with it. If some of you guys might have a shop, you know, definitely go ahead and use a bandsaw that you can go ahead and cut a nice pattern with. I picked up some Bosch 24 teeth per inch metal cutting blades. Definitely make sure you have the right blades. Do not use wood blades for stainless steel or steel. Wood blades will not work and you will hurt yourself. Guaranteed. The next thing you'll need is a good solid drill. I use a hammer drill, just a beefy plug-in hammer drill. I don't recommend using one of the cordless drills. They just don't have enough juice to go through the steel. You'll also need a good drill bit set. These things are, well, this particular one is titanium tipped to go through steel. So this will cut through, you know, steel like butter. The next thing you'll need is a pair of gloves, some safety glasses, a rag, a bottle of alcohol to clean the steel up before you paint it. Also, you'll just need some wire brush or whatever, and also if you have it, you can use a grinder with a wire brush disc to clean up the steel and get rid of all the burrs. Alternatively, you could just use some sandpaper. If you wanted to go ahead and do that, you could do that. For fastening hardware, I definitely recommend you guys use stainless steel nuts. You know, just go ahead, you know, go down to Lowe's or, you know, Home Depot or whatever, pick up some stainless steel. I use the quarter by 20 steel nuts. Pick up some hex bolts as well. Definitely use the nylon lock nuts. The last thing you want to do is have your Hydrowave unit flying at you when you're ripping through the lake at 60 miles an hour. You do not want that coming loose. So get yourself some good stainless steel bolts and nuts. Again, I used a quarter inch bolts to go through the 16 gauge steel and hold it down. That's it for equipment and materials that I used for the project, and there'll be a list on the screen as well that you can look at. You know what, guys? The steps for creating and assembling this bracket are so simple. You basically just measure the width of the base. Just make sure you get all 4 bolts on it. On the mounting bracket, you basically just take your mount, you sandwich it between the graph gimbal and the ram mount, and basically you just cut it out, drill the holes, make sure the holes line up, mount your Hydrowave bracket on, sandwich the Hydrowave mount between the gimbal and the ram mount, and there you go. You have it right here. You can adjust the Hydrowave based on angle, and you can mount your unit however you like. And basically, that's the mount right there. It just takes, a little bit of effort to make it. It looks good. It looks custom. Gets the mount off of the deck. Gets the unit off the deck, so you're not kicking it or tripping over it, and it brings it up closer to you, so you can access it easily. It's very simple. There'll be some pictures, and you can check out my article on it, and it's going to look sick. So that's my mount. And thanks for joining me, guys. Check out our website, which I've got going in the background. And, join us, like us on Facebook, check us out. And feel free to comment. And I'm also very interested if anyone else has done anything like this. Send me a message, or you can post it on our Facebook page and let us know, and we'd love to see it. Thanks a lot, guys.